A warm welcome to Athletic Excellence at America's top boarding school. Tonight, we're joined by three renowned American boarding schools, each with rigorous academic and strong athletic profile, to share on how they would help their students excel in both sport, fields, and life. My name is Min, and I will be supporting you in this session. Before we meet the school, Mr. Daniel Sichel, founder and head of Sesameed Education, will be walking you through two fundamental questions on why boarding and why America. Over to you, Mr. Daniel. During the time, I'll share my screen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mint. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for showing up at our webinar this evening. I understand many families having in the middle of their holiday vacation. Some are on the road and dialing in. Others just finished their long day's work and are dialing in. Thank you. Thank you for being with us this evening. Now, today's conversation, today's webinar springs from a number of observations that I had over the last couple of years that I moved out here in Southeast Asia. Many parents of children who are student athletes, they were seeking my advice in terms of the potential path in terms of choosing academics versus athletics. Now, and it is my delight to share with all the parents that you don't really need to sacrifice one or the other. You can have both. Now, for those parents who have kind of watched me give my different webinars or talks before, you know that I have been mentioning that America is probably the only country that has a very strong, deliberate focus on athletics. And they do that as part of their culture and therefore as part of their education. But sports, athletics has also become a very effective tool for character development of our next generation. So therefore, hence tonight, I've gathered some of the industry's top schools and to talk about different sports topics. I just randomly picked three: swimming, soccer, and tennis. But I want to let all the parents understand these are not the only three sports that are supported by the top American boarding schools, nor are they strong in only these three. But due to the time limitation of only 1 hour, I could only pick several sports and several schools, and those were the choices. Now, at the end, please feel free to leave behind your thoughts as to what other sports you would like to cover, and we'll be able to cover them in future webinars. Now, yes, Mint, please move on to the next slide. So, a lot of the families, they would naturally conclude from what I said early on and say, oh, okay, so America should, be a place, should be considered as a place for my child. And if I send my child over there, therefore they would naturally be studying in a boarding school. And usually that conversation would stop right there. And here I would like to mention that would be not doing justice to what boarding education can provide. Boarding education provides a lot more than solving the housing needs of the students. Yes, they do. They do provide housing, but that is not the purpose nor the mission of boarding schools. The magic of boarding education lies in one very simple concept, and it is in the name, boarding. All right. And when we're talking about boarding, we are talking about essentially a teenager who has been living with daddy and mommy for the entire life, or at least the majority of his life or her life, and switching over to a completely new environment where they will be learning to do different things together with friends, with peers, under the guidance of caring and supportive faculty members. I hope you guys hearing okay, because I see my screen being a little choppy. I hope my voice is still okay with us all. Thank you. Thank you. Mint, will you please move on to the next slide? So therefore, boarding school is not a day school plus a cafeteria plus a dorm and great facilities. It does a lot more than that. Next slide, please. Boarding school is really a place where the immediate safety net, the immediate comfort zone of having parents and siblings would be replaced by having a large group of peers with kind and supportive teachers and coaches and 24/7 interactions nonstop. Now, if you put our child in this type of environment for 4 full years, that child would be growing and maturing by leaps and bounds. And that's why boarding schools are in general being accredited with being credited with producing students that are a lot more world ready, a lot more world savvy than simply students coming from traditional day schools that tend to be more academically focused. Yes, next slide, please. So now we want to touch a little bit about admission. This webinar is not about admission, but many parents want to ask these questions, so I just want to get it out of the way. So what type of students would be admitted into top boarding schools? All right. So the first thing is top boarding schools, they look for students that are already kind of independent. They can manage their own affairs, all right? They don't need someone to wake them up. They don't need someone to remind them to do their homework, to prepare for tests. They are looking for students who have already exhibited maturity and independence in these basic affairs. And they are now ready to do more, okay? So this is where boarding schools come in to provide all the resources, provide the perfect environment to allow these teenagers to blossom and to blossom from one another. Boarding schools are also looking for teenagers. I don't know why I was disappeared from the screen. Okay, I'm back. So boarding schools are also looking for teenagers who are intellectually curious to experience all that life has to offer and all that boarding schools have to offer. And they are also looking for students who would have the courage to go out of the comfort zone to try new things, even when those new things might or may not be the things that they will be good at. And undoubtedly, because they will try so many things, they will find that some of the things that they are not necessarily great at. And it is okay. And it is where they develop the resilience. In life, you cannot be great and excellent in everything. And you learn that first and foremost at the boarding environment. Why? Because these top boarding schools, they select only the top of the top, cream of the best. And when all these students gather together, every one of them has their own strengths. And together, they iron sharpens iron. And they, to some extent, they inspire each other. They also, generate humility among themselves because no one is the best. No one knows it all. But together, they all flourish. Next slide, please. So I don't want to spend too much time on why boarding school is superior, but I know one thing that parents usually ask me behind the scene, and that is about, I don't want to send my child halfway across the world just for character development. I mean, are there anything more tangible? All right. And they are usually referring to matriculations because we parents out here in Asia, we want our children to have a better life. I think that goes with all the parents around the world. And usually we would equate that with a great university outcome, a great job, but a great job would also tie to a great university. And I just want to especially mention that these top boarding schools have a unmatched and unparalleled university matriculation. All right. I've been out here my entire career life. I've served parents from all countries out here in Asia, and these students all come from many top international schools in all major metropolis in Asia. And I can assure you one thing, that none of the top international schools out here in Asia can match what the top American boarding schools offer over there. Just look at the matriculation, and that says it all. Next slide, please. So just to sum it up, this last slide is why American boarding is really for those families who are looking for first top American universities. This is arguably the, the strictest path, the fastest path, the most strict path. Also looking for liberal arts education, that you're not trying to define the career path at the age of 16 years old. Now, many British schools will kind of force you to do that because the last 2 years of the high school, you are at A level, you are doing confining only to 4 subjects, some even 3 subjects. And for university track, it's very narrowly defined. Not so with American education. And that, is attracting the attention of more and more parents nowadays out here in Asia. Inquiry-based learning is not, we're looking for students who know how to ask questions rather than just, take notes and take orders from the teachers. I think this is increasingly relevant in the AI-driven world, that we know how to ask questions, all right? And the last, and probably the strongest factor is that we live in a human society, right? Despite the advance of technology, we are still human beings, and this is still a human world. And we need to collaborate, like it or not. And the success would be vastly dependent on our children's ability to collaborate with one another successfully, effectively, and ultimately to lead. So that kind of is a quick snapshot of why boarding, why America. And now next slide, please. Now we're ready to get into the meat of our presentation. So first off would be Mercersburg Academy, which will be talking about swimming. So we are very honored to have Mr. Michael Coughlin and Mr. Matt Hurst, Dean of Enrollment Management and College Counseling for Michael, and Director of Swimming and Diving, Assistant Director of College Counseling for Matt, to be here with us and to provide information about their academy and also the very strong swimming program that their academy offers. So over to Michael and to Matt, please.
I appreciate it. And I want to wish everyone a good evening. Thank you so much for having me. As Daniel noted, my name is Michael Conklin. I am the Dean of Enrollment Management and College Counseling at Mercersburg Academy. I'm in my 15th year at Mercersburg Academy, but just beginning my second year in my current role, returning to admission work after a 10-year hiatus. The focus of my work in the last 10 years has really been college counseling. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about Mercersburg. I have done my best to distill what is a much more comprehensive presentation, an introduction to Mercersburg Academy, into just a few slides so that I can get you some basic information in hopes of providing Matt ample time to talk about our swim program and what it means to be an athlete in a boarding school like Mercersburg. But if there are any gaps that we can fill, please feel free to ask any questions that you might have about our school or about the broader context of boarding schools. We can move on to the next slide. I'd like to start so many of the presentations that I deliver with Mercersburg Academy's mission statement. I do think that we're very deliberate about holding ourselves accountable to our mission statement. Our school values, which we recently affirmed at the board level and through our faculty, are hard work, character, and community. Again, when we're making decisions as an institution about the direction of our academic program or athletic program, these are the values that we're holding ourselves accountable to. I think relatively unique to Mercersburg is also this balance between independence and interdependence and individual humility with collective pride. I think that is distinct to our culture and something that a lot of the students who choose Mercersburg are drawn to, and one of the reasons why they choose to enroll at Mercersburg when they do. We can go to the next slide. Mercersburg is a mid-sized boarding school in the Mid-Atlantic where we have a very long and rich history. We were established in 1893 in South Central Pennsylvania. We have a beautiful 300-acre campus with ample opportunity for our students to roam freely and enjoy themselves, and to take advantage of a beautiful facility. We're very, very fortunate to have a very active group of alumni who are very generous. So our endowment of 518 million positions us as one of the highest endowments per student among boarding schools, which allows us to invest those resources in building our programming. And, Matt's program is one of the beneficiaries of that. He'll talk about our swim program a bit, but we're a very well-resourced school. We are in the Mid-Atlantic. I know there are many boarding schools in New England, fewer in the Mid-Atlantic. We're closest typically to Baltimore and DC. Most of our international students will fly into Washington Dulles International Airport when they're traveling to Mercersburg. So there's a lot within reach. Next slide. We consider ourselves to be a mid-sized boarding school. Our enrollment is typically about 440 students. The vast majority of our students do live right here on campus, though 15% of our days, 15% of our students are local to the area. I will acknowledge that some of our day students might as well live on campus. They're on campus with us enough, but it is not at all a commuter school. It's very much a residential community with the vast majority of our students living right on campus. 22% of our population is international. It's a relatively large but very diverse international pool of students. We're very deliberate about ensuring that that diversity exists within the international market. And we very much value the contributions of our international students. We're also very committed to supporting our students financially. There is limited financial resources available in the way of financial aid for our international students, but I think you'll find when you visit Mercersburg Academy that our culture is informed, at least in part, by the socioeconomic diversity of the students who attend and enroll. Next slide. Academically, we are an academic institution first and foremost. I think you'll probably learn similar statistics about some of the other schools on the call from some of my colleagues. We offer 150 courses. In 2019, we moved beyond the advanced placement curriculum to design our own advanced studies courses, and we have developed our own earned honors program. We're really interested in making sure that we get to tailor the content of our courses to meet our students where they are. Daniel mentioned a spirit of inquiry and knowing to ask the right questions. When a student has a really good question, we want to have the leeway to pursue the answer to that question. And so we moved beyond the AP curriculum. We found that that served our students really, really well, and has helped us to develop some really unique core programming that allows our students to pursue those curiosities and, as a byproduct of that, distinguish themselves when they're applying to college or university. Our average class size is 12. I think all of us on the call will tell you our teachers get to know our students really, really well, in the classroom and out of the classroom, and that class size is really very, very beneficial. Our ninth and 10th grade program is very much focused on skill development, teaching students how to be good at high school, how to develop those executive skills that are going to allow for them to be successful over their 4-year experience, but more importantly, beyond their time at Mercersburg Academy. And then our 11th and 12th grade year really allows for some in-depth project-based work. There's a theory of learning called self-determination theory, which reasonably posits that learning is most impactful when it feels personally relevant, and students have some autonomy to choose the topic of their learning. And our 11th and 12th grade courses really do promote that self-determination and autonomous work. Can move on to the next slide. Community is the thing that drives the experience at Mercersburg. I'd like to say that community is the thing that makes the outcomes our students achieve possible. Where our students are going to college, the success they have in the classroom, the success they have in the pool is really driven by the things they're able to do as a member of a residential community like ours, where community is so vibrant and so supportive and so rich. And that community is built upon school traditions. It's built upon, we still have 5 days a week family style meals where we sit together as a school community Monday through Friday. We have strong advisory groups. There's a lot of ways in which we cultivate community, but community is the thing, again, that makes those outcomes our students achieve possible. And that's very much at the core of who we are and what we value. One more slide. I know I'm moving quickly. I'm trying to make sure that we stay on track. There's a ton happening on campus beyond the classroom. I've not included any slides that really address in depth the residential program, the arts programs. We have a very wide range of opportunities in the arts, the fine and performing arts. But I know that we're focused somewhat on athletics today. So this is my last slide, and then I'll turn it over to Coach Hurst. But beyond the classroom, we do offer quite a bit athletically. We have 26 varsity athletic programs. We have a significant athletic complex that supports all of our programs, including a field house that was built within the last 10 years, a new natatorium for our swim program. Mercersburg is also investing heavily in athletics to ensure that we remain competitive and are fielding teams that our school can be proud of and that will support our students to achieve the things that they set out to achieve both in high school and through the college search, especially for those students who wish to swim at the college level. So with that, again, I know I'm moving quickly. I'm going to go on mute and I'm going to turn it over to my better half, the more intelligent of the two Mercersburg representatives on the call, Matt Hurst.
Thanks, Mike. Mint, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you, Mike, for the very untrue but glowing introduction. My name is Matt Hurst. I'm the director of swimming and diving at Mercersburg. Headed into my third season this fall, and prior to Mercersburg, I spent the better part of 2 decades coaching in the NCAA, so in the college environment, which, when talking about outcomes, is ultimately where most of your children will want to be, whether it's academically, athletically, or both. In that time, I've spent some time at a highly selective academic institution. I spent some time at a large state university. So part of the reason I was hired for Mercersburg is because of the unique individuals that come to boarding school in the United States, but specifically Mercersburg, students and families who want the academic offerings and the rigorous academic curriculum, and then pairing that with the athletics, and whether the student goes on to participate in athletics at the collegiate level, those life lessons that, in my case, they learn in the pool or on the diving boards, and how that supports them through their high school career and then transitions them on to their collegiate career. So boarding school, basically what it does is, we are a college preparatory school. So we look at ourselves as a college preparatory athletics program, a college preparatory swim program. For swimming specifically, swimming and diving, our roster is relatively small. We carry about 50 swimmers and we carry no more than 10 divers. And that allows us to individualize progressions. We have students on our roster from the Caribbean islands, the United States, Asia, Europe, and Africa. And in addition to their high school careers, a lot of those student athletes also have aspirations of international careers, representing their home country or nation at different events up into and including the Olympic Games. So we're able to individualize programming. We are able to weave in their college preparatory academic work with what we're doing in the pool. And one of the beautiful parts of being in a boarding setting is that their athletic trainer is right down the hall from us. Our physios down the hall, our strength and conditioning coach, our mental coaches, everybody is there together. So that centralized model really allows access to anybody and everybody all at the same time. Mint, go ahead with the next slide. So one of the things that makes us unique at Mercersburg is that we are able to, in a boarding environment, offer a 3-term experience. A lot of our peers, they offer swimming and diving in the season in which it occurs. So in the United States, you start school, generally speaking, September 1st, and you go until basically June 1st, and the school year is chunked out into 2 or 3 terms or semesters. And typically, your swimming season is in one of those, in our case, terms. But for us, we're able to start with the swimming and diving team right when we get to school, and we're able to keep them in swimming and diving through the end of the school year. So for those that are interested, that allows a continuous training program that allows for a 4-year arc for those that come to us, and that allows for really in-depth developmental. So we look at the pool very similarly to the way Mike just spoke about the way we look at our classroom too. The first 2 years, we kind of teach you how to high school. Well, we teach you the basics of swimming in yards. In the United States, we are unique because we swim in yards. We do also compete in long course meters. So there is an adjustment period and there's a learning. But as Daniel mentioned, inquiry and curiosity, these are not just important tenets of boarding school in Mercersburg, but certainly important tenets of being in the pool. In our program, at least, we want the athletes to ask questions. We want the athletes to set goals. So our program allows 8 pool sessions a week. That does include morning practices. Those are not mandatory, but they are available. We have a strength and conditioning coach that works with our program. He and I both sit and write our strength training programs. And again, keeping in mind that what we need to do for a 13 or 14-year-old boy or girl is probably very different than what we need to do for a 17, 18, or 19-year-old boy or girl. So there is a progression very similar to what you would see outside of the athletics arena. That progression comes into the pool as well. At the bottom here, I have simplified competitive model. So some of our student athletes, they just want the high school experience. So we will swim other preparatory schools, other boarding schools, but we will also swim in United States Swimming, our international governing body. We'll swim in those meets, and you can be from any country in the world and still participate in those meets. And then, as I mentioned, some of our student athletes, some of our student athletes do have their eyes on the Olympic level and the international level. So we're able to program for them those competitions as well. And then if the consistency piece, as I mentioned, being able to be with the same coach and the same group for 4 years in some cases is unique in the United States. I would imagine in other parts of the world too. So that really allows for me and my staff, that allows us to really get to know the students as well. Mint, next slide. And a little bit about our facility. It is a full Olympic pool, 10 lanes by 50 meters in length, which we also can turn into yards, which I mentioned is our main course of racing in the United States. That's what we use at the collegiate level as well. No matter where you go to college, you will race in short course yards. Also, as I mentioned, we are a full year program. Our staff is between 3 to 6 coaches. So if we carry 50 on the roster, our ratio is somewhere between 6 to 10 at most coaches or athletes per coach, which is, again, quite unique. And then we do individualized planning and goal setting and really lean into the inquiry-based model, and putting the student in the driver's seat of the conversation. Mint, you can go to the next slide. And then for the outcomes in college admissions, right? As I mentioned, our swimming and diving curriculum is very similar to that of the school. So our objective is to help our student athletes develop while they're with us and allow them to set goals and then support them along the way, but give them the space to ask the questions, be curious, adjust and learn as we go along. And as it mentions here, hooked athletes do have improved college outcomes at highly selective colleges. If you are an athlete of interest, each school is a little bit different, but we begin the recruiting process here truly after the 11th grade. But we start having those conversations from an athletic standpoint, similarly to an academic standpoint, as early as 9th or 10th. So in terms of athletics purely, having your son or daughter be in the United States as early as 10th grade, if not 9th, really does benefit them in the college placement outcome, because a lot of those recruiting conversations from an athletic standpoint do begin in the 11th grade in earnest. So the more of a background your student has in the United States prior to those conversations beginning, it really helps drive that. And then just see at the bottom some of our recent enrollments: Brown, NYU, Berkeley. So we do have some very highly selective institutions. We have some that are not as athletically competitive, but equally academically competitive, and then kind of everywhere in between. But It is an all-encompassing program, and we very much try to mirror the boarding school ideals and the Mercersburg ideals in the pool, as well as you'll see in the classroom.
All right, the next school we have Northfield Mount Hermon. And for Northfield, we have Amy Phil, Charles Markham, if then Metadel.
Right.
Over to you.
Thanks so much, Min. Hi, everybody. My name is Meta Dial. I'm the Director of International Admission here. I'm also an alum. I came back to work at NMH for a year, and I am now starting my 20th year. There's definitely something about the magic at NMH that keeps you here. You'll hear from Charlie, who's probably been here much longer than me, and Amy as well, to talk about our soccer program. Go ahead, Mint.
All righty.
So, as you look at different schools, you really want to take a look at NMH's mission. And this is a huge part of how not only we live our life in the dorms, how we conduct our classes, but also, how we do athletics here. One of the great things is coming in ninth and 10th grade, we even have questions, really big questions that we ask our humanities students. Charlie, you want to tell me what those questions are as a hum teacher?
Who am I? What is my purpose? And how I apply my life in a meaningful way to
How then
help
shall
and
I
serve
live?
others.
Yeah, which is crazy that we're asking, 14 and 15-year-olds these questions, but we want them to think about it, whether they're in the classroom, whether they're part of the community or on the field. Go ahead, Mitt. So this is real quick. We're 620 students. We're pretty well divided between genders, 50-50. Immigration, I have to tell you, has kept a number of students off of our campus, but we dropped a number of countries this year. We're still at 50. Makes me a little sad coming down from 65, but 50 is still pretty good. And we're 24% international, so it's a really diverse group of students. And you'll see that this is reflected very much so on our soccer fields. Go ahead, Mint. One thing that we love about our school is that we do get to spend a lot of time with our students. Amy lives in a dorm, so she's seeing these students all the time, even if it's not in the soccer field or in the dining hall. They're babysitting her two kids. Happy birthday, by the way, to Kaya, Amy. We're growing so fast as far as what's happening on campus. We got rid of AP classes about 20 years ago. And I'll tell you why. Most people are like, oh, it's not only because you guys want to go and develop your own courses, which is true. But for most people who are still wondering about the importance of AP courses, number one, colleges don't accept their MES credits anymore, really, right? But number two, also when it comes to teaching and knowledge, the AP US history exam hasn't been updated since 1980. So when you're talking about Reagan, when you're talking about Obama, when you're even talking about the last, 8 years, none of that is in there. And I can't imagine that any of our teachers who are masters at their craft are thinking about how they can be teaching students fully and holistically if they're not talking about the last 40 years of a 250-year-old country, right? So it's like if we're talking about, mainland China, we're literally leaving out 3,000 years of information in comparison. So, we have the NMH Advanced Program. Colleges know that we have our 500 level classes, our AP equivalent, and we have classes that go up into the 600 level courses. So you're taking things like mechanical engineering, you're taking history of Asia, you're taking BC Calculus is typically where a lot of schools stop. We go BC Calculus, number theory, graphing with Python, multivariable. So we just keep going with math, which is really great. We also just closed one of the largest capital campaigns that a boarding school has ever had. We just closed this capital campaign just shy of $300 million, which is really incredible, that we're just able to then invest that in our campus. Go ahead, Mint. And here we are. People are always like, where are you? We're about, an hour and a half west of Boston. Bradley Airport International Airport is our closest. But when students are coming to us, we have buses that bring them to all the different airports around us to make it easier for them to get there. Go ahead. And I say this all the time that, when people think how long we've had international students here, they say, oh, the last 50 years. This is the class of 1898. This is the Mount Hermon boys in the very front row. So you can see this is Chan Lun Tang. He was our first mainland Chinese student to graduate from Northfield Mount Hermon. He was also the first mainland Chinese student to be accepted to Harvard and graduate from Harvard and went back and became an ophthalmologist. So if you're talking about the history of international students, especially, Asian students on this campus, here's a great example of it. Go ahead. So here it is again, 1886. Look at that. See, was when Chan Lun Tang is here, which just shows you. But our first graduating class, the graduation speaker was already an international student, which is really cool. And that's in 1881. Whoa. All right. Keep going, man, please. So I'm going to pass this over now to Amy, who's going to talk all about our girls' teams.
Hi,
And
everyone.
Amy, please introduce yourself and all the fabulousness.
Okay. My name is Amy Heffel. I am the head of the girls soccer program, and I also work in communications at NMH. I'm heading into my 4th year at NMH. Before that, as far as coaching experience, I've coached at the youth level for club, anywhere from 8 years old to 18 years old. And then for myself as a player, I played for 3 years in the Women's Professional Soccer League. I'm originally from Hawaii, and I was the player of the year there when I graduated. And I played Division II college in North Dakota. So we talk a lot about diversity. I myself have moved all over the US, I guess the edge. And yes, our team truly is extremely diverse. We have last season with our 2 teams that we had 10 different countries and 10 different states represented in the program. And it was always amazing to, show up for our games and look out there on the field and just see the diversity shown at our school also on the field. So following the slides here, college acceptances. I really want to point out this last year's graduating class. We graduated 6 seniors. 3 of them who chose to play college soccer went to UC Riverside, Skidmore, and High Point. All great, higher academic schools. But our other 3 seniors who played soccer, every year that they were here, chose not to play in college. And I just want to point out where they matriculated to, Princeton, Stanford, and Georgetown. So I think that's really impressive. It shows that we really focus not only as growing you as an athlete, but really on the academic side and help setting you up for life after school with us. We also have a history in our program of professional players and national team players. Right, so we've had players from the Haiti national team, from the Spain national team, Senegal national team. We currently have a few players playing semi-pro in Canada, and then professional in Prague, and playing for Sevilla FC in Spain. So really, not only academically can you thrive here, but if you are looking to really reach the highest level of soccer possible, we kind of really help with that, and it's shown with our success in the past.
Amy,
Next
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What happens if you've never played before?
Yeah, so what is really great about that, right? Because we have 2 teams in our program, a varsity and a JV, and this year we're actually looking to add a 3rd team. What's really great is we have players that have never been on a soccer field before, and we have that level to develop them. That would be a 3rds or maybe even a JV player. Right, so the JV or thirds teams would really be for players that need to learn basic skills, but also want to get out there and still compete in games. And then our varsity team is really more focused on very experienced, very focused soccer athletes who are hoping to matriculate into college. And what I think is really great in our program as well is that they're called swing players. So those are typically younger players that will play games with our JV, but will train about half of the time with our varsity. So we really focus on developing our players that want to eventually earn a spot on that varsity team. So our program is very welcoming for all levels. I think that's what you were asking, but okay. Oh, sorry. Perfect. If you could go back, Min. Thank you. So we go to a preseason camp in the Berkshires. We typically have around 20 of our athletes attend. This is open to anybody in our program, not just the varsity athletes. And it really just gives our players a good chance to get to know each other in a different setting. They all stay in a cabin. We're in the woods. Last year, I saw a bear outside of my window. And I think the biggest impact it has is on our new international students because they're coming and getting to spend some time with people that share interests with them off campus, but like in a nice, safe, but fun setting before they're ever stepping foot in the classroom or in their dorm. So they're already going to start the school year knowing, possibly 20 other people that they've literally shared a cabin with for 4 days and 3 nights. We also like to focus on giving back to the community. So we volunteer referee for the local rec teams. And then they host like a giant jamboree for all of the recreational teams in the area. And with our boys program, we will go down and just referee for 5 or 6 hours. And it's always great to have the little kids excited to see, our NMH players. Last year, we also hosted a Morgan's Message game. So that was bringing awareness to athletes' mental health. And what I love about that initiative is that was really brought to me from our players. I didn't, tell them we need to do some kind of themed game. They really came to me and shared that that was very important to them. So we did that last year. This year, we're actually going to host a cancer awareness game sometime in October. And as I mentioned earlier, we're pretty diverse program for only having about 45 athletes. And last year, these were the countries that were represented in our program. And next slide. I think I'll pass it on to Charlie.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Charlie Malcolm. This is year 27 for me.
What, Charlie?
Yeah,
That's
27.
crazy.
And, the boys varsity soccer program at NMH is, I'll just call it a flagship program of prep soccer. A long history of success and a long history of international students playing a critical role in our success. However, we have teams at all different levels. And we've won New England championships with international players who came in and played on the freshman team, the JV team, and made it to varsity by their senior season. And we're starting. And not many schools can say that. Either you're on varsity or not in many programs. So we have wonderful coaches at every level. And best part of coaching is watching kids grow, not just during the season, but over their journey while at our school. We start every season in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. No screens, no cell phones. The kids jump in a lake at 7:30 in the morning, take what we call a polar bear, and we train. We also hike a mountain nearby. We have a book in common talking about leadership, and we build family first. And it's those relationships that sustain us through the season, but also throughout the academic year. And they become lifelong friends. And I think it's our magic sauce, so to speak, to being a successful program is the kids really care about each other and about our community. And super proud that we provide a lot of student leaders in the dorm. And they're able to balance both their academics, their leadership on campus, and their pursuit of excellence on the soccer field. We have the kids ask really important questions about what is important to them. And then we help them choose a school that provides competitive soccer, but how can they leverage that soccer for an outstanding education? And we're really proud of the schools they have attended, but also the people they become. I'm constantly going to former players' weddings, and they become lifelong friends, and watching them develop into great fathers. And that's one of the benefits of being out of school for 27 years is you get to appreciate the journey and also the relationship of the players coming through. I know it sustains me as a coach to know that what I do matters. And I think NMHs are, if you want a school where your kids are going to be challenged to pursue excellence, while also being surrounded by incredible amounts of support, NMH is a school you need to look at. Watching my kids go through NMH, my son played soccer. He went on to Swarthmore. He needed a small school to pursue engineering that had liberal arts, whereas my daughter wanted a larger school. And so she pursued nuclear engineering at Georgia Tech, and they were incredibly well prepared, both for the academics, but also for navigating college and making friends and taking chances. Trying new things. And so I'm really proud, when you have your kids go through a school and you get to see it through a parent's eyes while also working there. It's incredible. In terms of our soccer, we have kids who are playing in the Ivies and the Patriot League, but also big time Division I programs. What's most important, I always tell the kids, is when you go to visit that college, ask yourself, is anybody on that team going to be at your wedding? And my point is, it needs to be more than just soccer. There's got to be a culture where people care about each other, and the coach cares about you beyond your performance at that college. And so I think that sort of instilling that sort of NMH value while sending them off to these colleges. And so our kids are often the captains of those teams. So, Tufts just won the national championship in soccer. It was NMH kid as a captain. He also was my captain, Henry Perkins. This year, our team was an academic All-American team for the second year in a row. So really proud about the kids working hard on and off the field. And most importantly, being good citizens in the community. And as long as they're doing that, that's what's most important to me. And in the end, that leads to us being very successful as a soccer program as well. So if you have any questions about NMH soccer, please, you can find me, send me an email. I'll get right back to you. It's been a joy to coach this team, and and I hope you consider our school. It's a really, really special place.
And the last slide, Mint, if you could. Here's where you can find us. Of course, again, soccer for us is a fall sport. One thing I think Charlie and Amy can talk about, as depending on how serious you are about soccer, is what to do if you want to play off season, especially since in certain countries they're used to playing all season long or all year long. And what we kind of do about students who do want to do that and train off season. But the wonderful part that I think about the students on both of these teams is that they do participate in other sports. So I'm just thinking of two of my advisees who played for Amy on their soccer team. They both played ultimate frisbee, in the spring. I have had many of Charlie's boys over at my house for dinner, and they're in the orchestra, or they're in the choir, or they're in the musical. And that's really great about our athletes, where they are athlete scholars, but they are involved in campus doing many, many different things and making an impact in many ways. So yeah, and that's us. Thanks so much.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We have 35 families who registered. I believe they're all here, coming from 14 different countries, alphabetically from China, Ethiopia, India, Indonesia, Jamaica, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Spain, Thailand, UAE, United Kingdom. So thank you to all the parents out there for your support for this webinar. We are thrilled to have such a diverse group of parents and families and student athletes among us tonight. Now, in terms of gender ratio, it's about 60% boys and 40% girls. In terms of the grade level, is about 2/3 of the registered registrants will be in middle school, and 1/3 already in high school. Most of them within high school is in grade 9. So that provides a little bit of a context in terms of the audience who are with us tonight. And I see that the slides are back up, so I'll pass the microphone back to Mint.
All right. For the Hotchkiss School, we have Edgar Gifnick, head coach, boy varsity tennis, and Maya Clark, head coach, girl varsity tennis. And we don't have Ted with us tonight, but he is the director of admission and financial aid, which will be the contact person if you are interested in contacting the school. All right, T. Now over to you, Edgar and Maria.
Okay,
Thank you,
Maya.
Mint.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Edgar.
How are you?
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for inviting Hotchkiss and Hotchkiss Tennis to this webinar today. We are so excited to share a little bit about our school and our program. But first, Edgar and I would like to introduce ourselves. Edgar is our director of tennis. And Edgar, you can tell a little about yourself.
Okay, so I've been involved in tennis my whole life as a player and as a coach. I was a national coach for the US, Germany, and Mexico, and just kind of landed around this area because I was hired privately to coach one of the kids that was going to Hotchkiss, and that was 20 years ago. Since then, 3 of my daughters have graduated from Hotchkiss. One is going to law school, the other one works in finance in New York, and the other one is a nurse practitioner. And so I as a father and somebody that's been here at the school and watched them develop, I can only say great things about the school. After Hotchkiss, it seems like college was fairly easy for them, and they were totally prepared. 2 of them played college tennis, and one of them was more of a triathlete. She liked hockey, lacrosse, and soccer. But I think, I mean, I've been involved in sports my whole life, but I definitely am a strong believer of how sports can really add to the overall education of the kids. And yeah, that's for me.
And my name is Maya Clark. I am the girls tennis head coach. I'm also the head coach of girls squash. And so obviously I love racket sports, and I love promoting women in sports and women in racket sports. I think that, these are sports you play for life. These are friendships that you make for life, and they're experiences that go through, high school and college and beyond. And it's wonderful to play something like tennis that you can still be playing, in your senior years. So we love Edgar, and I work closely together. Edgar is actually the director of tennis at Hotchkiss, and he oversees the boys and the girls program. So it is wonderful working with Edgar and our kids. I would also like to add that I'm the parent of 2 current Hotchkiss students. I have a rising 11th grader and an incoming 9th grader. So I can also speak about Hotchkiss from the parent perspective, the current parent perspective. We're obviously very pleased with the school and the education it provides, and what it's like to be a student athlete at Hotchkiss. Next slide, please, Mint. Next slide, please.
Right.
Thank you. At Hotchkiss, we are committed to being a diverse and inclusive community. We are a beautiful rural campus. We're located in Northwest Connecticut. We are on 827 beautiful acres with rolling hills and trails. We have a farm at Hotchkiss where students have the ability to work on the farm. We have 630 students, making us sort of a larger sized boarding school. We are 95% boarding, and that number is really significant. We have a very strong boarding community. 37 countries are represented at Hotchkiss. We are about 17 to 20% international. 34 states within the United States. We have 13 dorms at Hotchkiss, and we like to say we're one community. When we talk about boarding school, whether it's Hotchkiss or anywhere else, it's a community that really makes the school and makes every school unique. So we invite you all to come to Hotchkiss, come onto campus, feel the energy and the vibe that we have going on, and hopefully it is a great fit for you and your children. Next slide, please, Mint. Why tennis at boarding school? Playing sports at a school like Hotchkiss, we are academics first. So tennis is secondary to your academic life at Hotchkiss. That being said, tennis is a big part of all of our varsity girl players' experience. They are, committed to this sport. They are committed to having a positive tennis community. The girls are all best friends. We have ninth graders through 12th graders. We practice together. They have they have their dinners together. We travel to tennis matches together. We have a very bonded tennis team, and that sort of adds to our success because our culture is very positive and very inclusive, which is also reflective of the broader sense at Hotchkiss. Sports are important at these boarding schools. They're how we build community and how we build spirit for the school. And that school spirit is, you want to feel proud of the school community that you're part of. And sports are an easy way to do that. The other kids at the school, the friends of our tennis players, they all come and watch their friends play their matches and cheer us on. And, our success is our school's success. And we feel very proud to put on our Hotchkiss tennis jerseys and go play our matches. It is meaningful, and it's larger than any individual athlete. Tennis and squash are individual sports, but when we play all together and we're all wearing the Hotchkiss tennis uniforms, we feel really, really engaged and really united, and we feel like we're bigger than ourselves as we step out there. And that's a really important feeling. And Edgar and I really try to lead by example and promote that positive community spirit. Next slide, please, Mint. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Edgar. He's going to sort of get into the nitty gritty of our tennis season and our tennis culture. Thank you.
Okay, so I do also believe that I'm obviously biased, and I think tennis is a great sport to start at any age. I think it's difficult to play lacrosse when you're 60, but it's pretty easy to play tennis when you're 60, 70, 80. So the amazing thing about Hotchkiss is also that we offer the tennis experience to anybody that's interested in playing. Even if you have never played in your life, you can start playing at Hotchkiss, and it could become your sport for the rest of your life. So we have 3 teams. We have a varsity team, a JV team, and a thirds team. The JV and varsity usually compete, but the thirds team is usually a club team. So it's for people that really have never played tennis. So we have the same thing for the boys and the girls. And for those of you that are more into tennis and know the ratings, our varsity teams, our level of our varsity teams on the boys side is somewhere between a 6 UTR and a 9 UTR. For the ladies is more about a 5 and a 7, so somewhere in there. So that gives you an idea of the level of strength of our team. Next slide, please. At Hotchkiss, tennis is a spring sport. That means that we compete in the spring. That means March, middle of March, we start, and we usually start with a tennis trip, and we take a tennis trip to Tampa to a tennis academy, and that's a great opportunity for the kids that maybe have played other sports during the rest of the year and want to get into their tennis mindset, or it's open to everyone. It's not only for varsity players, it's open for anybody in the community. So anybody that might want to experience tennis, even if they are not going to play tennis in the spring, they actually could go on a trip. So that's kind of how we start the season. We have incredible facilities at Hotchkiss. We have 18 courts, we have 15 outdoor courts, and we have 3 indoor courts, and the courts are basically for the students, so it's not a club. It's students have priority, and it is unbelievable nice to have indoor courts during the winter because the students could access them at any time. If you have a little bit of time during the day, you can go and practice the serve, practice with the ball machine. At night, early in the morning, facility is for the students. The way that we choose the teams is by offering some tryouts. That is basically a few days of competition where the coaches get to see each of the players, and we try to decide where the best fit is for each player. We try to be very inclusive. We actually manage large teams because the format of competition is 6 singles and 3 doubles. That's how tennis is played. That means that you could actually play a whole match with 6 players. They could all play singles and they could all play doubles. But in the last few years, our varsity teams are about 12 players, 12, 13 players, JVs about the same, and thirds about the same. So basically we have 90 people playing tennis during the season. So also very nice is that in the last few years we've had several kids that used to play junior varsity go to varsity. So you can really see the kids developing, and that is very rewarding. Off-season play. Although the tennis season is in the spring, where players play 6 days a week, 2 days of competitions, Wednesdays and Saturdays they compete. The rest of the time we practice. Our practice are about 2 hours long. And during the rest of the year, some of the kids that are very serious about tennis, they choose some sports that are not maybe going to take that much time. Maybe they play thirds in a sport where they're not competing as much, and then they focus on the tennis the rest of the time. And we also have some kids that like to play 3 different sports during the year. That's perfectly acceptable for us. And we encourage each of the kids individually to follow their own goals. Coaching at Hotchkiss is a little bit different. I am a director of tennis, so I oversee all programs, and each of the teams has their own coaches. Most of my time is spent with the varsity teams, and the nice thing about this is that the girls varsity and the boys varsity practice at the same time. So we sometimes practice together, sometimes separately, but we consider ourselves to be one big team. And it's the same thing with the JV's team. If during the season we see that somebody's developing from JV, we invite them to play up with us and to practice. And so we try to think about the whole tennis family as being one. I think that's pretty much about tennis, let's see, yeah, the next slide. College outcomes. College tennis is very, very competitive. And most of the times, as a player in a boarding school, you're competing with kids that are playing about 20 hours a week in an academy. So it's a little bit, it's not a fair competition. But having said that, we have had a lot of players go and play college tennis since I've been here at the school the last 12, 13 years. I would say we've had about 12 kids go and play college tennis. And the ones that didn't really play college tennis could have actually played somewhere, but they got into schools that are very highly academic and where their tennis level was not good enough. I still remember 3 years ago, our number one went to Harvard, number two went to Princeton, and number three went to Yale. So great schools, they just weren't good enough to play tennis at those schools, but they did play in their club teams. This is pretty much our outcome for our placement, not tennis-wise, but general for Hotchkiss in 2026, so that you have an idea of where our players go. And just to summarize, the way that we approach our tennis practices and tennis development at Hotchkiss is really as a learning experience that is going to help out and balance all the experience at a boarding school here. So it's a family, and we are very proud of all our kids. They get along great. We emphasize sportsmanship. We emphasize working hard. And yeah, very exciting, our tennis program here at Hotchkiss.
All right. Thank you so much, Edgar. Thank you so much. Now, as everyone is getting to know the schools and they are burning with questions, I have a long list of questions in my head. So I will go over them. And to do this, for everyone to have every school to have the chance to answer the question, if it's specific to each sport that the school representing, I will be directing to the schools themselves. And if it's a general sport or the sport outside, I'll give everyone a chance to talk about the sport if it's related to your program. All right. So
Now,
first question.
I'm sorry, Mint.
All right.
I'll just interject over here because I'm conscious of time. We have slightly run over our allotted time. So we might not be able to fully address every single question that have been brought up by the audience in this evening. But we are going to forward all these questions to the respective schools. And so we'll receive their responses in due course and then forward it back to the audience. So of course, we'll cover some, but I'm just conscious of time that we might not be able to cover all. And before we begin, I just want to give a very quick news announcements that we just heard the programs from 3 schools. There are more than 3 boarding schools in America. More than 3 top ones, all right? And so we will be bringing more than 30 schools over to Singapore and Bangkok later on in November. November 1st for Singapore, November 8th for Bangkok, and where parents, students will have time directly to interact with the representatives and ask for deeper questions and have a deeper dialogue, well, one-on-one face in-person dialogue. So please mark it down on your calendar. And for now, we'll begin our Q&A session. Mint, back to you. Thank you.
First, it's a very important question for someone who starts sport, but not in the nationally ranked. So question is, would there still be benefit from attending the boarding school with a strong athletic program, or are these schools primarily for elite athletes? That will be for the first school, we'll be going to NMH.
No, we have I think at all boarding schools, we want students who are interested and curious about trying a sport, even if they haven't had an experience in it, right? So at NMH, we have students who have never rowed before, for instance, and they come on, and we've had Olympian students who've gone to Stanford who have never been in a shell before or on the water. On the same note, we've been able to really absorb students who are already playing at a high level in their sport and then take them as far as they would like to go. So it is not just for elite athletes, it's for students who are eager and passionate about putting the time and effort in to either just have fun with friends or to really develop a skill and a talent.
All right, thank you so much, Meta. And then the next question will be for someone who play on the JV third in the strongest athletic program versus playing varsity in a less competitive program for college admission. Which one is stronger? Which one gives you more competition in terms of sport and college admission? So this question, of course, over to Hotchkiss.
Hi there. That's a great question. And I think it really depends, the answer to that question really lies in who the student is and what experience they want to get out of it. The best thing you can do is play at the level that you're comfortable and just participating in sports and all the other things that they offer at boarding schools is appealing to colleges. They want to see kids who are involved, who try things, who build community, who contribute to their school and to their school's community. So, I don't think it totally matters as far as what level you're playing, if it's JV or thirds or low level varsity. The recruiting process for college sports is a thing in and of itself. And so if you're not at that level where you're being recruited by that college, I think it's just important that you play, that you contribute, that you love it, that you that you are a great teammate, that you demonstrate good sportsmanship. I think that if you're not at the recruiting level, just playing and being involved and being your best self is appealing to colleges, and it's wonderful for the team that you're on at the time.
All righty. Thank you so much, Maya. The next question go to the coach, and this one will be addressing to Mercersburg. How do your coach and teacher work together when students are traveling for competitions or experiencing a particularly demanding athletic season? What support systems are in place to ensure they continue to thrive academically? Wow. All right.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that's one that, again, for any student athlete who does choose to go on and do their sport at the collegiate level, they're going to see. So how do we, at Mercersburg specifically, address that? One, academics come first. That's always the priority. So in my program, at least with swimming and diving, the students are required to come and talk to me in person. I don't want a text message or a phone call. So come and tell me, let's sit down and we look at their academic schedule or their the demands that they're feeling. We do also work through their advisor. We have afternoon study hall. We have evening study hall. We have teachers are also available every day during a help period in the afternoon. So we prioritize academics as a coach. I will sit with the individual athletes and help them block and plan. Very often we do find that they have more free time than they anticipated and time to get their assignments done. And then when we travel, whether it's for a one-day high school meet or it's a week-long international meet, the students have the ability to reach out to their teachers, work with us, work with the athletic department, work with their college counselor if they have one, or their advisor to sit down and have the conversation about, I'm traveling, here's the work I need to have done, when do I need to have it? And then from an athletics standpoint, we support the adjustment of a schedule to make sure that they can manage their academics.
Thank you so much, Matt. And last question. This one it's from us. We prepare this so to avoid one misconception. So for family considering boarding school primarily because of athletic, what are the biggest misconceptions they have, and what do you wish every parent understood before making this decision? This question will go over to all the school. I'll give you 1 minute for everyone. Thank you so much. We're starting with Mercersburg, then Northfield Mount Hermon, and then Hotchkiss.
Yeah, so I'm going to confess you actually cut out a little bit on my end. Can you repeat that question one more time?
Alrighty. For family considering the boarding school because of athletic, what are the biggest misconceptions they have, and what do you wish every parent understood before they making this decision? So what are the misconceptions about getting into boarding school because you're strong of athletic, because athletic is your your field? Anything that some myth that you want to debunk before they kind of getting into the process?
Yeah, very good question. I think one of the misconceptions, and Matt, I would happily have you add to this, but a lot of athletics in the United States is increasingly moving toward, particularly among youth sports, club programs and teams that are practicing year round, that have a significant range of demands, maybe above and beyond what students are committed to through their respective school systems, right? And so I think at times there is a particular fear that might exist that if a student is to enroll in a boarding school with a relatively demanding schedule, a relatively programmed schedule, that they'll have less time to train, less time to develop their skill set in a way that would qualify them or help them to prepare to compete in college or in a university setting. And I think the reality actually is that, as I think all of us have pointed out in some way, shape, or form, is that when you're on a boarding school campus and you're living in a residential setting, you have all of that immediately available to you at your fingertips, and the school bears some of the responsibility for structuring your day and creating a schedule that allows you to manage all of those responsibilities. Uh, Ideally, with less stress, anxiety, and competing priorities than you might have if you were attending your local day school or a public school and trying to balance that with an external team that you're competing with. So, what I like about boarding schools, which is a common misconception, is that we actually have the structures in place that allow you to get the training you need, but also maintain a sort of balanced approach toward the many demands that I know adolescents sometimes feel and have in their lives. So. Um, I'll leave it at that and allow others to jump in, but that's what sort of immediately comes to mind for me.
Thank you so much, Michael. And then next, NMH. What are the misconceptions about athletic program at boarding?
I think a lot of people believe that when they play a sport at a very, very high level, that will ride them to college. You still have to be a good student. You still have to be a good human, because no coach at any school is going to want to work with a jerk and, a family that isn't cooperative or excited about being a part of the community. And so you've heard every coach here, even, our two coaches, the coaches of their school, really talk about developing, being part of the community, and the importance of that. And giving back for NMH is really important too. It's not just about how you're performing on the field. So I think that's a misconception, that just because I am amazing at water polo, right, that I'm gonna go super, super far in water polo. Be a good human. Yeah, that's what I say.
You respond to that beautifully, Meta. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Now over to last one, last but not least, Hotchkiss.
Thank you. I loved what my colleagues there both said. And Meta, I would just follow up with that and in agreement that most of the time that if you decide to send your children to boarding school, you have to recognize that they're going to be part of this larger community. So it's usually, for me on the racket sports side, it's those families that want to pull their kids out of school and do a lot of homeschooling and just solely focus on the squash and tennis, 6 hours a day, that don't get to be involved in this really vibrant community that we offer at these boarding schools, that are sort of missing out on that that character development piece that comes with playing a sport at boarding school. So I just wanted to just piggyback on that. But I will add that I have had a few parents who have been really concerned that their child won't be as motivated in their sport if they leave the family and come to boarding school. And so they always say to me, but my kid needs me there to, to practice 100%, to make sure that they're doing the training work on top of it, to make sure, that if I'm not there, I don't know that my child is going to get the training that they need in order to achieve X, Y, and Z expectations that they have. And so, there's a lot of ways to every kid is different. But for the most part, if they decide that they're ready to come to boarding school, they have that independence and they have that inner drive. They understand what the expectations are. And the important thing to remember is that your kids come to boarding school and they're with a bunch of other kids on their team who feel the same, who are like-minded, who want to accomplish things, who want to be one of the best in the, in New England or in the country at whatever sport we're doing. So we're all in this together. And the kids have to be accountable for their time. We have them pretty well scheduled, but they do have to be accountable for their time. They do still have to practice. We are watching them. We are watching them and working with them. And so your kids will have wonderful training in their sports when you send them to boarding school, and they will be part of these really vibrant communities, learning and playing with their friends and their coaches who think that they're wonderful kids. So that's a great question, and that's there's so many answers to it, but I just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, please.
There are boarding schools that are primary athletic schools, right? They're training camps, they're athletic camps. If you want to do it where you're hearing us all say it's academic first at our schools. If you want your sport to be primary, go check out those schools. But if you want a balance between being an amazing athlete and an amazing academic, then you take a look at one of our schools. So yeah.
I think that's the secret that lies under why all the boarding school make students excel in both athletic and life, because you develop the whole human. I will hand the spotlight back over to Daniel. So, Daniel, please.
Thank you, Mint. And I would like to send a big round of applause to all of our school officers who have been so kind and generous to take time off their holiday breaks, summer breaks, to be with us this evening, Asia time over here, their mornings. And so I just want to send a tremendous gratitude to all of them for their sharing. Now, as our parents might have noticed, this is recorded. So we will be sending the recording back to each registered family so that you can review and watch again and listen again. I know there's a lot to absorb, but you will be able to get it all back. Any questions that have not been able to be addressed because due to limitation of time, we will be following up with respective schools and get those questions back to us all. And last but not least, I would like to thank the families once again for taking time off your evening. I know it's kind of a little late out here. Singapore is 10:30 over here. And thank you all for being so patient and sticking to this all the way. And we will continue to stay in touch. This is the second of a series long of webinars aimed at helping communities, helping families understand the magic, the life-transforming power of boarding education. So we will be announcing further webinars in the days and weeks to come. And last but not least, we do very much look forward to seeing us all in November 1 for Singapore, November 8 in Bangkok. And please kindly spread the news around so that more and more families in the community can receive the blessing of boarding education. Thank you all, and have a great evening out there. And to all the school officers, thank you once again. Have a great day over there.